As a kid, I used to think that there were monsters under my bed. When this would happen, I would run to my parents' room, screaming nonsensical accusations about my unwanted visitor. My dad, patient as always, would take my hand, walk me back to my room, sit me on the bed, and he would talk. His voice alone had the ability to comfort me to the point I would feel silly having never been scared. He talked about facing your fears. Today it was monsters, but tomorrow it will be something else. I mustn't let that fear affect me. He would tuck me in tightly, ruffle my hair, and throw in an attaboy. I would doze off, basking in the glory of having conquered the monsters under my bed. He did all of this, but he never let me look under the bed. He never looked himself. As I grew older, I came to understand the value of the lessons my dad taught me through my night panics. In reality, he was teaching me that the monsters would take various forms in the years to come. I now have my own beautiful young boy of 3 years, and occasionally he storms into my room claiming familiar accusations of a tenant under his bed. I know the feeling, buddy, I say before repeating my father's ritual and using this as an opportunity to teach him about the hardships of life. But last night, something changed. I sat on the edge of my son's bed, my hand on his shoulder, consoling. I offered words that I had rehearsed, attempting to sound wise and spontaneous. He sat beside me, feet dangling next to my knees. "Thanks, Dad," he said, muffled, face buried under my chest in full embrace. I ruffled his hair and offered an all too familiar attaboy. Just then, something grasped my left ankle from below the bed. I kept my composure, trying to not frighten my boy. I jerked my left leg forward casually, and I offered a smile that masqueraded my fear. We sat awkwardly in silence. It came again. This time, the razor grip clasped my ankle and pulled. A second hand joined in, grabbing my right ankle. I lurched forward, earning my freedom, grabbed my son, and left the room. I left him in our bedroom. I returned, flashlight in hand. That's when I learned why my dad never let me look under the bed. It wasn't because of a life lesson he wanted to instill in me. It wasn't to show valor. I shined my flashlight, and what stared back at me was unlike anything I had seen before or after that day. Its yellow eyes stared at me, mouth gaping. It raised a single claw to its mouth, indicating silence. Our eyes locked, and it crawled back into the darkness, emitting a low growl. Sometimes the monsters under the bed are literal monsters under the bed.